composition of functions. We're probably pretty familiar with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, and maybe even, or hopefully are familiar with doing that with functions, but there is a whole new operation in algebra called composition that we do with functions. And composition of functions is simply where we take one function and we put it inside of the other function. And we represent this operation with an open circle. So don't get this confused with multiplication, which would be if we had like a solid dot. An open dot is what's called composition. And what's happening is that we're actually saying f of g of x. That's what you can think of this circle as an f of g of x. And so what that does, think about what we would do if it was just g of x. Well, we'd take whatever's in this spot and we put it into g. Well, so we're saying take that and put it inside of f. So we're given this function f and g, and we're asked to find some different things here. So f of g of x, if it helps, just go ahead and write parentheses like this. I'm going to take what g of x is, I'm going to plug it into f. So g of x is x squared minus 2x plus 6. I'm going to put it right here inside of f. So that means that I have 4 times x squared minus 2x plus 6 minus 1. I'm just picking up what g is and putting it inside of this x. To simplify, we need to distribute and then add like terms. So that's 4x squared minus 8x plus 24 minus 1. I have like terms here at the end. So 4x squared minus 8x plus 23. That's f of g of x. Now we want to find g of f of x. So again, think of it like there's parentheses here. We're going to take f and plug it into g. So this time this is going in for all of the x's in g. And that actually makes this one a little bit lengthier. So where x is in x squared, I'm going to put 4x minus 1. And then right here where this x is, I need to put 4x minus 1. And then plus 6. And 4x minus 1 squared, we actually need to think of as 4x minus 1 times 4x minus 1. And FOIL that out. So that gives me, I'll write it back down where our work is, that gives me 16x squared minus 4x plus 1, and then we need to distribute the negative 2, so that's negative 8x plus 2 plus 6. So we've got lots of like terms to add together. 16x squared though is alone, so negative 4x and negative 4x is negative 8x. Negative 8x minus 8x is negative 16x. And then 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 6 is 9. So this is g of f of x. On b, since we already know what f of g is, then it's asking us to figure out what f of g of 5 is. All we've got to do is plug in 5 to what we already know that f of g is. If we didn't already have this, then you could say, let me plug 5 into g and find an answer, and then take g and put it into f and find an answer. So since I already have f of g, I'm just going to take the 5 and put it in. So 5 squared is 25, times 4 is 100. 8 times 5 is 40. 100 minus 40 is 60. 60 plus 23 is 83. Now, g of f of 5, I just used the other formula. So that's 16 times 5 squared minus 16 times 5 plus 9. And this is going to require me to grab my calculator to figure out. So I'm just going to type it in all at once and get an answer. And I get 329 for g of f of x. I mean g of f of 5. Now, part C, we want to do g of 1. So let's think about what that means. If we think about this like there's parentheses here, I'm taking 1 and putting it into g, and then I'm going to take what that answer is and I'm going to put it into g again. So let's just start off by finding g of 1. So that's 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 6, which is 1 minus 2 plus 6, which is 5. So now that's this part right here. This is 5. Okay, and that's what we're saying, that this part right here is 5. G of 1 is 5. And now I'm going to take that and I'm going to plug it into g again. So now I'm finding g of 5. So that gives me 25 minus 10 plus 6, which gives me 21. So that is g of 1. You could also go ahead and take g and plug it into g, but that would, because of what g is, that'd be a lot more complicated and frankly unpleasant. So if you are doing something of a number, sometimes it's a lot easier just to do it step by step like that. Part D, f of x, well, we already know that f of x is 4x minus 1, so we're plugging that into f. So 4 times 4x minus 1 minus 1. And if you can imagine this like here was our x originally, and I'm just putting 4x minus 1 where that x normally would have been, because there's still a 4 in front, there's still a minus 1 at the end. So if that helps, distribute the 4 and get 16x minus 4 minus 1. So that's 16x minus 5.